At the end of this video, you should be able to explain how the structure of Earth's interior affects seismic waves, and explain why earthquakes generally occur at plate boundaries. Seismic waves and Earth's interior. Seismic waves are useful to scientists in exploring Earth's interior. The composition of the material through which P waves and S waves travel affects the speed and direction of the waves. For example, P waves travel the fastest through materials that are very rigid and are not easily compressed. By studying the speed and direction of seismic waves, scientists can learn more about the makeup and structure of Earth's interior. Earth's internal layers. In 1909, Andrija Morojovic, a Croatian scientist, discovered that the speed of seismic waves increases abruptly at about 30 kilometers beneath the surface of continents. This increase in speed takes place because the mantle is denser than the crust. The location at which the speed of the waves increases marks the boundary between the crust and the mantle. The depth of this boundary varies from about 10 kilometers below the oceans to about 30 kilometers below continents. By studying the speed of seismic waves, scientists have been able to locate boundaries between other internal layers of Earth. The three main compositional layers of the Earth are the crust, the mantle, and the core. Earth is also composed of 5 mechanical layers: the lithosphere, the asthenosphere, the mesosphere, the outer core, and the inner core. Shadow zones. Recordings of seismic waves around the world reveal shadow zones. Shadow zones are locations on Earth's surface where no body waves from a particular earthquake can be detected. Shadow zones exist because the materials that make up Earth's interior are not uniform in rigidity. When seismic waves travel through materials of differing rigidities, the speed of the waves changes. The waves will also bend and change direction as they pass through different materials. As shown on the screen here, a large S-wave shadow zone covers the side of Earth that is opposite an earthquake. S-waves do not reach the S-wave shadow zone because they cannot pass through the liquid outer core. Although P waves can travel through all of the layers, the speed and direction of the waves change as the waves pass through each layer. The waves bend in such a way that a P wave shadow zone forms. Earthquakes and plate tectonics. Earthquakes are the result of stresses in Earth's lithosphere. Most earthquakes occur in 3 main tectonic environments. These settings are generally located at or near tectonic plate boundaries, where stress on the rock is greatest. Convergent oceanic environments. At convergent plate boundaries, plates move toward each other and collide. The plate that is denser subducts or sinks into the asthenosphere below the other plate. As the plates move, the overriding plate scrapes across the top of the subducting plate, and earthquakes occur. Convergent oceanic boundaries can occur between 2 oceanic plates or between 1 oceanic plate and 1 continental plate. Divergent oceanic environments. At the divergent plate boundaries that make up the mid-ocean ridges, plates are moving away from each other. Earthquakes occur along mid-ocean ridges because oceanic lithosphere is pulling away from both sides of each ridge. This spreading motion causes earthquakes along the ocean ridges. Continental environments. Earthquakes also occur at locations where 2 continental plates converge, diverge, or move horizontally in opposite directions. As the continental plates interact, the rock surrounding the boundaries experiences stress. The stress may cause mountains to form and also cause frequent earthquakes. Fault zones. At some plate boundaries, there are regions of numerous closely spaced faults called fault zones. Fault zones form at plate boundaries because of the intense stress that results when plates separate, collide, subduct, or slide past each other. One such fault zone is the North Anatolian Fault Zone, shown on the screen here. This extends almost the entire length of the country of Turkey. Where the edge of the Arabian Plate pushes past the Eurasian Plate, the small Turkish microplate is squeezed westward. When enough stress builds up, movement occurs along one or more of the individual faults in a fault zone and sometimes causes major earthquakes. Earthquakes away from plate boundaries. Not all earthquakes result from the movement along plate boundaries. The most widely felt series of earthquakes in the history of the United States did not occur near an active plate boundary. Instead, these earthquakes occurred in the middle of the continent, near New Madrid, Missouri, in 1811 and 1812. The vibrations from the earthquakes that rocked New Madrid were so strong that they caused damage as far away as South Carolina. It was not until the late 1970s that studies of the Mississippi River region revealed an ancient fault zone deep within Earth's crust. This zone is thought to be part of a major fault zone in the North American plate. Scientists have determined that the fault formed at least 600 million years ago, and that it was later buried under many layers of sediment and rock. At this point, you should be able to explain how the structure of Earth's interior affects seismic waves, and explain why earthquakes generally occur at plate boundaries.